Hey everybody, it's Keith from the Common Sense Practical Prepper podcast. Today is Friday, May 19th, 2023. Apologize for the road noise, but I am out running some errands on my way to Tractor Supply to pick up a few items for the chickens, and then I am getting on a plane to take a well-deserved vacation. So call this a 5-minute Friday prep podcast, if you will. Let's talk about the food shortage or the lack thereof. About this time last year, several YouTubers, vloggers, people on the internet were talking about either a potential for a food shortage or an all-out food shortage, and everybody would have starved to death by Easter of 2023. The folks that talk about the potential shortage of anything or the potential threat of World War III, they provide information. Now, a lot of them provide information, and then you get to make your own decision. Some of them, the information they provide is a bit skewed, and it tends to steer itself towards doom and gloom, so starvation, World War III, or whatever it happens to be. And there's the people that just come right out and say it, we're all going to die, and it's going to happen in 3 hours. As far as food shortage here in Richmond, Virginia, I'm not in the middle of some grocery store food oasis by any stretch, but my Kroger, my Food Lion, Costco, Sam's Club, all the stores that I visit on a regular basis are stocked floor to ceiling with food. I'm not seeing a decrease in varieties. I know I spoke about you might go sometime this summer and you only might have 2 choices for dill pickles instead of 6. When you go into the bread aisle, you may only have 1 brand of wheat bread instead of the 4 or whatever it happens to be. Go to produce, you may only have 2 varieties of apples instead of 10. Your oranges may not look as orange. Grapefruits may not be there. Who knows? I'm not seeing it. And again, this goes back to something else I've spoken about is only worry about the things you can control. Don't be looking towards the next shiny thing that people are talking about. Again, a lot of these folks on YouTube are looking for clicks and advertising revenue, and they don't have your best interest in mind. What I see is inflation. We know inflation is here. I am not an economic advisor, but I'm a guy with 2 eyeballs, 2 ears, and I have the ability of gathering information, and I do pretty well. I gather the information, I digest it as best I can, I get it from multiple sources, and I make an informed decision on that. So given the lack of a food shortage, I have decided to cut back on my food preps. I'm pulling back. I'm going to take the things that I currently have in my pantry, and I'm going to freeze dry more of that stuff. So things that have an expiration date, potentially in the next 12 to 18 months, I am going to experiment and then perhaps freeze dry some of that stuff and extend its shelf life another 10 or 20 years. Again, just something I'm going to experiment on, not saying that I'm going to take my whole pantry and dump it into my freeze dryer, but just something I want to look at and see if it's plausible. So I'm definitely pulling back on the food. Maybe if there'll be a really cool whiz-bang gadget that comes out that will make my prepping a little bit easier, I will certainly do that. But I don't see the need to go, full bore with this food shortage that did not happen. Now, food shortages in the world, absolutely, all over the place, and they're certainly not here. In about 14 hours, I will be in the EU. I will certainly take a peek. I've been to the EU several times. I will certainly take a peek and see what their situation is. Both their energy and their, food infrastructure is a lot more in peril, just because of the sheer volume of the number of countries that are around them. For us, just by the sheer volume and the acreage that we have, we're able to take care of ourselves. Granted, we ship a lot of that overseas to the highest bidder, but I think the infrastructure, food, power, and water is a little more fragile. That's the word I was looking for a minute ago. And the EU is a little more fragile. They rely on a lot of neighboring countries for exports or imports, and then they export. So I'll take a peek. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but maybe I'll give you an update when I get a chance. So again, I'm leaving on a jet plane in just a little bit, going on vacation. Hey folks, as always, please be careful out there. Take care of one another. And until next time.